Hey everyone, it's Delanie. Welcome to your Self-Helpless Snack. If you'd like to submit a question for me to respond to on an upcoming mini episode, you can do so at patreon.com/selfhelpless. All right, today's question is from Richard, and it says, I know a lot of documentaries have been discussed and mentioned on Self-Helpless. What are some of your favorite documentaries? I actually compiled a list of the various documentaries that have been shared on Self-Helpless in one way or another. Guest recommendations as an episode topic, discussing as hosts. We've had filmmakers on to talk about their films directly. So those will be linked for you in this episode's description. But to answer your question, I wouldn't say that I have a favorite documentary, but I remember the first documentary that really made a big impact on me was Stink, Stink, exclamation point. And again, this will all be linked. And if you haven't seen this one, it explores the different chemicals that are found in American products and the risks that they pose to consumers. For me, because I think I watched this I must have been late 20s when I saw it because we did discuss it on Self-Helpless. It's one of our episodes. And I think leading up to that point, when I watched that, I just assumed that if a product got to our shelves, that everybody did their due diligence in that process to ensure that it was safe, that it was ethically produced, that it wasn't harming anybody involved. I just assumed that, the responsibility would be on the companies, the corporations that are making these things. And I think that's what was the biggest shock was for me is that holy shit, that is really not the case. And things that should be illegal in certain processes are not. And that it just shifted my perspective on consumption. And I just viewed the world differently after that. And saw how often profits are prioritized over health, well-being, and how the burden often falls on the consumer to be in the know about the processes that go on behind closed doors. So we can ensure that we're not supporting something messed up, and how that is both discouraging to realize this, but also shows us how much power we do have as consumers. We collectively change things, and the power is in what we purchase and what we don't purchase. And in a world where we often feel like we don't have much control over what goes on, I've really clung to this as a form of activism because it's something I do have control over in my day to day. The way that I spend my money is like voting every single day. So this was, it was just kind of a big shift for me, I guess, in my own, education. That really kicked off this kind of insatiable desire that I have to learn. And it really put me on a trajectory of looking into not just, personal care products and things that are discussed in Stink, but just all products. I started looking at things really differently. Like, what is the process behind this thing? How did it get here? Who benefits from it? Who suffers because of it? Yeah. So, anyway, such a good question. So, I'm going to rattle off a bunch of documentaries with a brief little summary of what they're about, and feel free to dive in if something piques your interest. Okay. So, Stink, we covered that. All right. Next one, Earthlings. This one has been mentioned several times on Self-Helpless, actually. And I think if you're curious about conscious consumption, but you want kind of a brief overview of several industries at once. A lot of these documentaries can go into specifics about kind of one category. I think this is a really good place to start. Shows you processes behind food, fashion, other products. And I think that's why this one gets referred to a lot. And then from there, there's thousands of documentaries that get specific in these different industries. So number 3, They're Trying to Kill Us. This one is about why people of color suffer from higher rates of chronic disease and investigates the links between diet, disease, poverty, racism, and corruption. Number 4, The Minimalists. I just put The Minimalists because they have a couple documentaries, so I don't have the exact titles of those, but these are about the societal pressures to consume and the impact of excess stuff on our lives, and just about kind of embracing a more minimalistic, intentional lifestyle so you have more room for what you truly enjoy and find fulfilling. I remember watching these documentaries around the same time that I found The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And I just felt like these were great because it felt like these gave me permission to do what I had really wanted to do, but felt like I couldn't. And I think that's a really cool power of documentaries. They can give you permission to do something that you've been considering, and you see somebody else do it and makes you kind of feel less alone. Obviously they teach you things you would have never learned about. They make you think differently. They help you kind of question your conditioning. So those were big for me that I kind of found, in the beginning of my love of documentaries. Next one, number 5, The Social Dilemma. I believe we did an episode on this, and this one covers the negative impact of social media and kind of gets into that industry. It was very, very fascinating. Number 6, Pignorant. This one follows an ex-gang member who develops a deep love for pigs and explores the ways that pigs are treated in society and our current systems. Number 7, Forks Over Knives. This one gets into the claim that most, if not all, of degenerative diseases can be controlled or even reversed, gets into processed foods, things like that. Number 8, Fake Famous. It follows a small group of just everyday people, and the producers or whoever is working with them decide to help them blow up on social media. It shows all the different things that can be faked. Like, I remember a scene in this where it looks like they're on a private jet, but it was just somebody holding up like a toilet seat behind somebody that looked like an airplane window. I mean, it was very interesting, and talks about, like buying fake followers and all of these things. That was a really fun one. Number 9, Cowspiracy. If you're interested in environmental issues, sustainability, stuff like that, this is talking about some pressing issues and solutions in that space. Number 10, The Failed Experiment. This one looks into the world of experimentation, the experimentation that goes into different products. Number 11, What the Health. This one gets into the billions of dollars in the healthcare, pharmaceutical, food industries, how they interconnect, and examines the links between diet, disease, things like that. Number 12, Christspiracy. This one gets into religion and religious practices and how religion shapes the way people view and treat animals. Number 13, The Smell of Money. Really about this kind of fight between major corporation and a small community in North Carolina, really fighting for clean air, water. All of this is based around a farm in the community. Number 14, Game Changers, all about athleticism and performance and enhancing that. I remember a big thing that came out around this one was there's a scene in here where they're running tests and basically showing the before and after impact of something, and basically how people can improve either the size or strength of their boners. I don't know. I remember this being a big topic of conversation that caught people's attention in this one. But yeah, all about performance, athleticism, strength training. A lot of athletes are featured in this one. Number 15, Dominion. This one covers, I think, similar things to Earthlings in the sense of fashion, food, the processes behind those things, but I think it's based in Australia. Number 16, Take Your Pills. This one is about ADHD and ADHD medication. I think specifically Adderall in this one. Number 17, Blackfish. This is about animals, marine animals who get held in captivity. Number 18, Seaspiracy. If you care about marine life, ocean life, this one gets into different harms happening in the ocean, and how you can help, basically. Number 19, I already mentioned this, but Tidying Up with Marie Kondo. I read the book, and then the documentary series came out. And if I remember correctly, she goes to a different person's home and helps them transform their space by helping them clear out clutter and figure out what really brings them joy in their space. What I like about this series, and I think what sets it apart, is that I don't think there's no like big makeover transformation with a bunch of new stuff. I believe it's just, it's their stuff, but basically using it differently and, bringing out what they already have. So that's an interesting one if you enjoy a little decluttering sesh like me. Number 20, Chimp Crazy. This one is exploring the world of people who hold chimpanzees in captivity. All right. I think that covers it. I know there's so many more documentaries that have been mentioned on Self-Helpless. I truly did my best. And just a reminder, these will all be linked for you in the notes. However, I'm just linking with the first thing that I find. A lot of these are on several different streaming platforms. So just do a little Google if you can't find it on your preferred one. And then some of them are no longer on streaming platforms, but they're available online for free, all that good stuff. So just do a little digging. Feel free to check these out. And if you want to write in about which one or several you found to be really interesting and impactful, I would love to hear about it. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I'll talk to you soon. So glad you tuned into Self-Helpless. If you felt supported by this or past episodes, there are a couple ways you can help the show. Feel free to share it with a friend who may enjoy the variety of discussions we have here. Also, you can become a monthly or annual supporter of the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/selfhelpless. That's where you can pitch and vote on topics, submit questions for special guests, or be a silent supporter and not participate in any of that. 100% of Patreon and merch proceeds go directly to operating expenses that not only keep the show going through thick and thin, but also keeps it accessible to all with minimal ads. If you want to show a little extra lovin', you can leave an Apple Podcast review or send an email to share how Self-Helpless has impacted you. All of this info and more goodies can be found at selfhelplesspodcast.com. All right, love you big time, and thank you so much.